It is 6:46 here on this Friday morning. It's time for Friday with the Fuzz, so I'll toss it right over to Mr. Michael Greene.
Thank you, Derek. We're in the studio with Elgin's Chief of Police, Jeff Swoboda. Jeff, thanks for joining us again this week. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm doing fine. How are you?
I think we're all amped up on coffee. I don't know.
I'm good.
I'm hyper.
He's hyper.
Uh-oh.
Get ready to go off air quick.
Got the dump button.
You got the dumb button going? All right, good.
It's cold out.
It is cold. It's been very cold. We actually talk with that. I mean, we've talked about, bad weather before, but what kind of challenges does that present for the police? And then also warming centers, things like that, if you can talk about that.
Yeah, warming centers, anybody that needs to get out of the cold, the police departments, obviously always, somebody could stop by there. We're considered more of a warming shelter versus overnight shelter type of thing. Right. And we've got pads, obviously, on the west side, and then downtown area, First United, 216 East Highland. They are opened up when the weather gets below a certain temperature, and they've obviously been open this last week. So places to go. As far as the challenges it does for us, we're humans, so they're just when we're out in a bad accident or having to direct traffic, or I know in a little while we're going to talk about a call out that we were at where officers maybe have to be out in the elements for a long period of time. Just the challenges of making sure that everybody, including officers, can stay safe and not get frostbite as well, or get become a victim of the weather. So there's those challenges. Our vehicles are sometimes challenged, especially the older ones, with even just starting in this cold weather. So and then just out and about with general calls for service, and we're always out there looking if there are people obviously who are homeless or don't have a place, or they're not. Sometimes we get people who are drinking and they're out in the conditions, not have the proper coats or scarves or gloves, whatever. So we're making sure to get people to get inside, type of thing. So just it's a normal it's kind of normal in that we deal with many times the same type of calls for service over and over. But when the weather's like this, just it's more challenging.
Does the department, the city, do the officers, are they responsible for having additional type of clothing for certain types of weather? I mean, sometimes you see the officers when they are out somewhere and they seem to be awfully thick. They're wearing a lot of gear, it seems like.
Oh yeah,
more so than normal. Is that something that there's a directive for, kind of a best practice, or?
The gear, when you become a police officer, we give you all of your gear to start off with, and then give allowances for additional gear for the officers to then keep track of themselves. But no, it's up to the individual officers as far as, we have some sweaters, that they can, they can have or not have, but they can purchase, or when they first get hired, it comes up to them what they want to wear. Short sleeves, long sleeves, that type of stuff. But and then it's just more of a, the officer on their own. They always seem to be
prepared, is what I guess I'm getting at. Whenever you see someone out in the cold, an officer or whatever, they always seem to be dressed properly.
Yeah, because it'll happen, especially when when the weather's changing. Like right now, everybody's obviously knows about and has plenty of their trunk or their back seat has spot, or their gear bag has spot for some extra gloves and hand warmers, and you can put these boot warmers, things you break, or
right.
And then put inside your boots for your feet, type of thing. So, but usually you get caught kind of once, or looking like it's raining, but it's going to rain, but maybe, and then you forget your rain gear at the station, so you get wet one day, and then you'll remember to bring it with you next time. So the officers, obviously, it's like I said, might get caught once, but learn very quickly, and so they always have plenty of gear. And then the supervisor's making sure if somebody's out for a long time directing traffic, move them around, get somebody else out there, and keep them moving. There
was a great story that was sent out, a great media release earlier this week. I think an officer's son, who is a current explorer, not the officer, but the son of the officer, who happens to be a police explorer, was at a chess conference, I guess, in Peoria. Heard some type of commotion, somebody yelling, does anybody know CPR? Evidently, that's one of the things they teach in the Explorer program.
Yep.
And without any trepidation, any hesitation, just jumped right in and saved this man's life.
Yeah, a girl. Young girl's life. Yep. Yeah, he was down there for a chess tournament, and Andrew Wilson, and his father has been a police officer for about 20 years now. Andrew's been an explorer for the past couple years, and again was down in Peoria at a chess match, and that's what they're called, right? Matches, chess tournament, and
I guess an individual thing.
yeah, you have multiple matches in a tournament. God, just making sure you like
Just keep me on point.
right,
Nice.
yeah, exactly. But was down there, heard some commotion, and I think it was the grandfather came out and asked anybody knew CPR because his granddaughter sounds like maybe had a seizure or something in the pool, swallowed a bunch of water, wasn't breathing. Andrew jumped right in, ran over, and utilized the training that was provided for him as part of the Explorer program. Same training that officers get, and was able to start doing some CPR, and it worked. The girl coughed up a bunch of the water, was able to start breathing, turned around her side then. She then was taken to the hospital, and I think later released, if not, I don't know how long she was there, but it doesn't sound like long. But then was back at home, and got a chance to spend some time with Andrews. There were every news crew in Chicago was out at the Elgin Police Department to talk with him, and so it was a great story, and just a great kid. I mean, really, really nice.
First
kid.
of all, anybody, Derek, have you ever been put in this situation? Your first thought, I mean, if something like this happens, and even if you are trained, you've got to be nervous as anything to even just jump in and get involved with it, because you don't know with what you're doing, because you're not practicing ever on a live person with CPR. So when you've got a live person, it's not a dummy. I mean, it just changes the whole dynamic of everything. And then to just jump in and man, I'm shocked. It's just amazing.
Yeah,
it's a great story.
And you know what's so true, and he hit on it as well. Right, he's 16, right? So his composure was just amazing. But what's so true, and it happens with officers, seasoned officers, new people. When you're trained in something, if you're trained over and over again, it's kind of put in your head. Like if I were to ask you right now, or me sitting here, exactly some certain technical thing with CPR, I'd have to think about. But many times when something happens, believe it or not, you get more focused, and you do resort to your training. And officers experience that all the time. And so you think, wow, during stress, you're not going to remember. As long as you're training and you're working through your training, you're doing the training as often as you're supposed to be doing, and you do think about it from time to time, and it is something that just kind of pops back in your head, and you kind of just remember. And it's amazing, and that's exactly what he said too. Because he never thought that he'd ever have to use it. It's not something like you're sitting around thinking about. Okay, am I going to have to do CPR today? Let me remember. What do I need to do?
Yeah.
You get trained once, and as long as you train, you take the training seriously. When you need to have it, it does just kind of come back to you. The stress kind of does.
Have you in particular ever been put in a situation like that?
I've been part of CPR multiple times, yeah. And the time it takes for the fire department to get there. I mean, we have a great fire department who gets there very quickly. But it's the time it takes, or
the seconds become like minutes almost, doesn't it? It just seems
it's somebody who's or needing some type of help, even if you're not necessarily doing the CPR, but waiting for somebody who needs some type of medical, somebody who's been shot, somebody in waiting, or somebody who's been stabbed or something, and doing the basic stuff with compression and making sure that you're doing something just to keep them alive and okay until the fire department get there. And many times it's just again putting pressure on wounds or things, and so it is. And this was a very positive one, and it's something that we're talking about. We just had a retreat with our command staff to talk about too, just the mental health of officers and things, because after those instances where officers do have to do, and many times, again, you're not actually the one doing the CPR, the one doing the compressions, but you're there, and it's a stressful situation, and if somebody doesn't end up making it, it stays with you, and it stays with the officers for a long time. So we're talking a lot about mental health. In policing, we talk a lot about physical health of officers. We do physical fitness. We recently really been pushing the idea of what more can we do for mental health of officers, and making sure that they have, after an instance like this, have someone they can talk to and work through it and stuff. So this was a very positive story, and it's, like I said, to see the smile on Andrew's face when he was sitting there being interviewed. And the funny part, one of the reporters asked him, "How does it feel? You comfortable with being titled as a hero?" And he's like, "Yeah." So it was just funny.
Yeah,
This is a 16-year-old answer. It's so funny. Most adults will be like, "Well, I'm no hero. It's everybody else would have done." So it's just he's just very he's just a very just a great kid, just a great kid. Yeah.
A couple things happened over the past week I wanted to touch on. I won't even get into that, but we had an incident on Amanda Circle. A man was tied up with duct tape and cash was stolen. I guess my first thought always is this because nobody was captured in this crime yet, I believe. So is this something that the public should be concerned of? Was this a random event? Where do the police stand with the investigation on that? And do you have anything to say where the public should be, always cautious, but is this something where you think wow, this could happen to anybody.
Well, anything can happen to anyone. This case right here, I think our most recent thinking with it is it's not a random event, and so our detectives are still following up on any of the leads. We talk with the witnesses. Again, not necessarily this case here because I don't know any more about it with that, but many times is when we see cases where there are home invasions or people, someone breaks in and then steals things inside. While it does happen from time to time randomly, many times it's targeted. People know something's going on inside that house that they want. Whether times in years past we've had it where a person's involved in drugs, and so they're going in there for the drugs. But we've also had times where families were just not involved in anything, and somebody came in and tried to, committed a home invasion.
But I think you're right. Probably more times than not. I mean,
there's something more.
I'm sure you don't have the statistics
exactly
off the top of your head, but
they know them of some sort, maybe not friends, acquaintances,
yeah,
or that type of thing. And so, with this case, I haven't got any more follow-ups recently, but no arrests have been made. I'm not sure that there's much more to go on with the case right now.
You had, in the matter of a week, the same convenience store seems to have been robbed. Glass door, glass window. I think there were 2 separate incidents. 200 block from McLean Boulevard. This time, more than 2,500 scratch-off lottery tickets were stolen. Can you talk about that at all?
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see if there's anything I wanted to. Sorry.
Just like you said, twice, and so that's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, the same business twice in such a short period of time. Is that something that is seen often?
You don't see it as much, but from time to time you do, and so I know that some of the lottery tickets, I believe, had been cashed. Was it part of the?
Yeah, there was a release in the. There was a police blotter.
Talked about some more.
Talk about a couple of the lottery tickets redeemed in Skokie and in Des Plaines.
Yeah, so we continue to work with our business owners on making sure that they have an alarm system, that they respond quickly when there's an alarm. They make sure they let us know.
I think in the first incident, right, didn't respond immediately because they'd been having problems with the alarm.
Right. I think they might have said the police weren't needed to respond or something. I'm not positive on that, but there was something that then we didn't go, and then later we found out, or they found out that nope, there was actually a burglary. So. Again, one of those ones not that much to go on, other than if people are ever
might have some good video footage though.
Video is so important, especially with the businesses, that we're able to make sure they do have properly working video that they can check on them. And now video has gotten so it's much cheaper, and it's so convenient with smartphones. You can turn on your business and from your smartphone look remotely and see what's going on. So when an alarm happens, you can look and see if people are inside your business. Contact us right away. So
how does that work with the business owners? And not to cut you off, but just curiously, do they generally just agree to release the video footage to you? Is that something you have to get a subpoena for? How does that all work? And then in terms of if there is video footage you have to get from another city or community, is that any different than if it happened in your jurisdiction in Elgin? Or?
No, law enforcement shares that type of stuff routinely, and so we'll have a case. It'll seem very similar to another neighboring agency, and so we'll work with them, look at the video type of thing. As far as from the business owners, they'll release it to us. Now, if there was ever, and there have been not cases necessarily like this, but if a business owner had some type of something going on where they didn't want us to have the video, there could be some ties, it's their video, they don't have to give us the video, so there could be some court action taking it. Right, if they want to help us solve the case, they'll give it to us. If there's evidence on there of something else, there have been times where we had to go to court and actually to get possession type of thing. So it's most times though business owners are cooperating completely. In this case, the business owner is absolutely cooperating, wants us to catch this person.
We're kind of up against the clock, and I wanted to talk about, maybe we'll talk about that next week, where you had to have your tactical response team out on an incident. But before we go, I did want to talk about, you have a community conversation coming up and an annual awards event. Probably have enough time to hit on that, and we'll come back to that maybe next week. Yeah.
March 14th, community conversation. This is the one the mayor, the community, or the clergy of Elgin, many different churches, synagogues, everybody coming together to talk about just always improving relationships with the police department specifically. And on March 14th, it's another conversation. There was one on Martin Luther King. The celebration at Elgin Community College was our first one, I believe. But we've been meeting, if not monthly, about every 6 weeks or so. and deciding to have a conversation at Second Baptist Church on the 14th from noon to 2. And really geared, towards, teenagers, early teens, but really anybody over teenagers, I guess I should say. But why the police do what they do, why it's important to listen to a police officer when they ask you to do something, what are the laws, what are the rules as far as when interacting with a police officer type of thing. And really just more to just improve understanding as to why we're doing what we're doing. And then also for the police officers, myself included, to listen to some of the things that we do, how it makes people feel. And so just understanding that, what we're doing, and when we've talked before about, police officers routinely will rest their arm on their gun. Well, to some, that looks like you're fidgeting with your gun as you're talking with them. It's a convenient place, move around, it's kind of heavy, you kind of lean a certain way. But to talking with someone that can look like you're now messing, and like, okay, so police officer threatening me, I'm just talking. And so just thinking about those things. So it's just a way to have a conversation in a controlled environment where you're not, not yelling at each other, but just listening. And so it's I'm very happy with the last one, and so this one will be great, I'm sure, as well. 14th, so Second Baptist Church is hosting it from noon to 2, and there'll be more information on that coming out. And then we can probably talk about it next week, but March 6th is the date. We're doing our annual awards, so we do all the great work that's gone on over the past year, multiple awards being given out, and at that time we'll talk about the Officer of the Year, Supervisor of the Year, Civilian of the Year, and Rookie of the Year will be named. And
you have any hints?
No, because I don't even know right now.
You don't know?
No, they're not selected yet, I think. Or if they are, they haven't been brought up yet. It's a committee. It's not me who selects it.
Oh, I see.
I select the Supervisor of the Year, but everyone else is selected by a committee. And the last, and then after that, we're going to do it a little different. One of our officers is being promoted to Sergeant. So Todd Rameljack will be promoted to Sergeant. We'll get him in here for a radio show here. And March 6th, so from 2 to 3 is going to be the award ceremony. And then right about 3 o'clock, we're going to promote Todd. So it's an exciting day for the police department on that day. So it's open to the public, and we always get a large turnout from the community. So
Center of Elgin?
Center of Elgin, Heritage Ballroom. Yep.
Heritage
Be a good time.
Yep. Thank you very much, Jeff.
In 2 weeks, it'll probably be about 50 degrees, sunny. So it'll
Let's
be.
hope,
That'll
right?
be
Pitchers
nice.
and catchers reported
That's
yesterday.
right. It's nice to see baseball on TV.
I know.
That was good. That was
You
good.
saw some highlights?
I did. I
Nice.
did.
Does it make you feel like you want to
Cubs
go
are
back
tied for
to-
first.
They are.
Yes. So they're tied.
Just got to get down the home stretch here.
That's right.
All right, Chief Swoboda, Chief Jeff Swoboda, thank you very much for joining us, and have yourself a good weekend. Stay warm.
I will. Thanks a lot for having me, guys.
Thanks.
Excellent. You're listening to AM 1410 WRMN.
And Elgin.